Let's turn our attention away from markets. Let's look at the South China Sea, of course, a flashpoint, increasingly so for tensions in the Asia-Pacific here. So you have countries, and here's a fantastic map here for you, including, well, you have China, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam, all have, as you can see, overlapping claims in this massive waterway. Beijing, though, has claimed nearly all of it. Research-rich region here, including, of course, parts that Manila of the Philippines asserts that it actually belongs in an exclusive economic zone. So if you've missed the news recently, you've seen Chinese, well, just in case, Chinese and Philippine Coast Guard vessels have actually collided at least twice since October. The Philippine Coast Guard says a clash in early March actually left 4 people injured. That happened off this disputed second Thomas Shoal, which is acclaimed not just by 2 countries, by several nations as well. But it isn't just Manila and Beijing locking horns. Last year, if you recall, the U.S. military accused a Chinese fighter jet of coming in so close to an American bomber over that area that it nearly collided and caused a mid-air accident. The U.S. estimates that South China Sea holds trillions of dollars of offshore oil and gas. It's home to some of the world's richest fishing grounds and also a major trade route. Washington also estimates that a waterway carries some $3 trillion worth of goods annually, which actually works out to be, get this, 1/3 of global trade. All that in mind and all that at stake, let's bring in Haslinda Amin. She spoke exclusively, of course, the Philippine President, Bongbong Marcos, has. How was that conversation?
Well, it went really well. He was pretty frank in his comments. You talked about how there's been rising tensions in the South China Sea. And according to Marcos, China has been pretty aggressive, forcing the hand of the Philippines, forcing the Philippines to respond in a bigger way. And that's not because Philippines wants to provoke China. It is about national security, national sovereignty. So he has to make the moves. The moves have been more visible. The Philippines has been more vocal, intentionally. It is about his people, he says. But you know what? He says in the end, he does not want war. He wants peace. He wants relations to go back to an even keel. His words. And he also said that he does not want to poke the bear. So you come away thinking he wants to bring down the temperature. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The threat has grown. And since the threat has grown, we must do more to defend our territory. And so maybe perhaps that's what people are seeing is that a more robust defense of our territorial rights as recognized by the international community through international law, through the UNCLOS. And we hew very close to that. We do not be very. We have not instigated any kind of conflict. We have not instigated any kind of confrontation.
The U.S. has weighed in. It constantly points to Article 5 of the Mutual Defense Agreement, which was signed in 1951. It now says that it now extends to all armed conflicts, armed attacks in any area of the South China Sea. In practice, what exactly does that mean?
That's an incursion, for example, to occupy, which has already happened, but we're still trying to keep it peaceful. But you see, we avoid, as I said, we think about peace in the national interest. It does not serve any purpose to heighten tensions, to say, okay, I am invoking now the Mutual Defense Treaty. And that I don't think anyone wants that, unless, you've asked a very difficult question here. Unless the effects are such that it is a threat, it will become an existential threat to the country. Then I think it's very easy to say that would trigger the Mutual Defense Treaty, the agreement between the United States and the Philippines.
How confident are you about U.S. support? How far do you think the U.S. would go to support the Philippines in the South China Sea?
Well, thus far, we can say that the United States has been very certainly very supportive in every way, and it has the United States has really shown that it takes very seriously these agreements that we have, and so but it is dangerous for one to think in terms of when something goes wrong, we'll run to Big Brother. That's not the way we treat it at all. I say we do this for ourselves. We do this because we feel that we have to do it, and it's not at the behest or of the United States.
Mr. President, just to follow up on that, how confident are you the U.S. is willing to go to war with China over a disputed reef in the South China Sea?
Oh, God.
How far is the U.S. prepared to go? What are your talks suggesting to you?
Well, I really, we would to take that a step back from that question is that is precisely what we want to avoid. We want to do everything we possibly can, together with our partners and allies, to avoid that situation whatsoever. This is not the poking the bear, as it were. We are trying to do quite the opposite. We are trying to keep things at a manageable level, to continue the dialogues, whatever they are, at every level. And we have initiated many of those dialogues. We have dialogues at the sub-ministerial level, at the ministerial level, and at the executive level. And so I think that's what we have to continue, because it would. There are many volatilities in the area, in the region.
To put it in context, the clashes have been more frequent, prompting the question whether or not these clashes could eventually lead to a war. And, you know, it was interesting to point out as well that Marcos said both sides came really close to a tipping point.